I could describe the Get My Life tour in one word, it would be vulnerability. Showing up for yourself is so important. Welcome to the Get My Life tour. I'm your host, Lydia T. Blanco. Hey, y'all, and welcome to the Get My Life tour. It is me, your host, Lydia T. Blanco, and as always, you know, I'm hyped. I think I'm super hyped today because of who the guest is. But before I get into that, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for showing up for yourself. I want to thank you for being so committed to tuning in each and every week, every stop of the tour. So if this is your first time, welcome to the Get My Life tour. Yes, you made it. We're so happy to have you here. If you are back for the umpteenth time, shout out to you for riding with me, okay? Because it has been a while and I don't take you showing up for yourself or as a, you know what I'm saying, a member of this tour lightly. Okay. So I'm real hype. I'm like trying to catch my breath and not stumble over my words because the person who is taking center stage with me today is a linguist. She is a grammar buff at times. She wants to make sure that your rhymes are tight. Like, what? Okay, so you've probably seen me play this game on my Instagram looking crazy. Okay, I mean crazy, because I thought some of the words would just be a thing. Like, yes, okay, look, I can't even think of a word right now. And she looking at me crazy. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I'm talking about none other than entrepreneur, lifestyle enthusiast, Chantel Calloway. She is the creator, the CEO, the founder, and so much more of Rhyme Antics, like HipHop Rhyme Antics. She is out here killing it in the board game industry. Yes, you heard me correctly. There are Black women killing it in that space. But she's also here to share how it gets real at times. So I'm here for that too. But before I go on, because I can, and I'm actually thinking of different words to rhyme with her name and so many other things before I put my foot in my mouth. Help me welcome Chantel to the Get My Life tour.
Hey.
How are you?
Oh, I'm blessed, sis. Thank you so much for having me. I'm good today. Today's a good day. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm really excited for this conversation. You know, I was walking through City College and I saw the bench that we sat on when we connected for the first time after meeting at YouTube some time ago. And I was like, goodness, that was a great conversation.
It was
a great conversation. So I'm so glad that you still had a yes in your heart, nearly 2 years later. And we're here and these people are going to get to know who you are. You're going to help us get our lives. And we're just going to be on tour doing great things.
I'm ready for it. I'm ready to, inspire in any way that I can.
Okay. Well, look, let us know who you are in your own words.
So I am Chantel Calloway. You did say linguistic. Yes, I'm a hip hop head. I am an advocate for literacy, and I am a social entrepreneur and inventor of really dope game called Rhyme Antics. And Rhyme Antics is a vocabulary game inspired by hip hop. It's had a lot of success. We just made Black History last month by becoming the first Black-owned game to be sold in Target and Walmart. So, yay.
Come on. Boop, 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 boop.
Yes, it's been, a long road. And, I started with that goal in mind in the beginning. And so just to achieve it has been amazing. For, my dreams to come full circle. So that's for the culture, 100%. And, I'm just here to inspire, motivate other Black creators and inventors and let them know they could do it too. And hopefully be a gateway to bring in other Black-owned games into these stores and spaces.
That's incredible, right? And I'm so glad that you have others in mind, right? Because it's not easy entering into that space. There's nothing easy about creating. And I think sometimes we think when we have a good idea, if we have support, that's great. Or if we really just have this dope invention that has not, right? Like you're literally the inventor of this, right? So it should come easy. That's not always the case, right?
No, it's not.
What has it been like shifting, the atmosphere and going from ideation to product development to the shelves?
Well, it's definitely been a great learning experience. I feel like I'm a true master in the invention process because a lot of people do invent things, but it's not often that you're able to actually invent something and then bring it into the marketplace and then it actually be successful. And so I know what that firsthand what that stress is like, like putting your all. I mean, Rhyme Antics is literally like my child. You know what I mean? It's like my labor of love. It's my child. It's I'm in a serious relationship with this product. So, it's been incredible to actually see something that started in the mind end up as a physical product being sold on the shelves and that people actually really love it and purchase it often. It's such a blessing. And, it just really reaffirms that dreams come true and you really can do and be what you want. We are creators, we are co-creators, and we can create anything we want.
I really appreciate you sharing that, right? And so many people are curious about like, why Rhyme Antics? You are a hip hop head, right? But let's get into that because there are a lot of people who claim to be hip hop heads out here in these streets.
Mm-hmm.
But they not. They not.
I mean, being a hip hop head, I'm an 80s baby. I was born in the golden era of hip hop. Hip hop has really literally raised me, like being born in the 80s, like my heroes and leaders have been, hip hop artists and hip hop, entrepreneurs, honestly. So, people like Diddy, people like Dr. Dre, like those are my heroes, and the music, hip hop music has definitely been the soundtrack to my life. Sometimes it's made me a very bad girl, and lately it's made me a very empowered good girl. So music moves us, and hip hop music period is a very big part of who I am. I study the culture. I'm a student of the culture forever. I like it all. Of course, being, a logophile, which is a lover of words. That's really why I fell in love with hip hop, because back in the day, people like Nas, Tribe Called Quest, these were all great lyricists and lyrical geniuses who could tell a powerful story using, words and using a vast vocabulary. And I, was in love with the poetry and the art of it. And when you really start to dig into what it takes to be an MC, you realize that, it takes some real genius talent to be able to freestyle off top and, be able to tell a story while using a vast vocabulary. It's just a dope talent, a dope artistry that I always wish that I could do, but, couldn't. So I created this game for the inner rapper in all of us. And so that's why it's been so successful, because everybody at one time or another wants to be a rapper,
Okay, I tell people my album dropping every June 33rd. It is what it is.
Like we all think we got bars and can do it, right? So this game really teaches you how to do it. And, you know, it can be fun and goofy and just, you know, the thing about Rhyme Antics is you'll play it. Most players will tell you play it and then you'll be rhyming all day. Like you just said, you're just trying to think of some rhyme.
Right.
It's funny.
I love how you come alive when you talk about what inspires you and your love for the culture. And come on, Logophile, come on, giving us vocabulary words today. On the love of words, I'm here for it. That's what I, live for in part. And I think that is so profound, right? That married with your love for literacy. Right. That's powerful, right? You know the numbers. I may get them wrong, so I'll let you share them with us. But the literacy rate in America is alarming. Talk to us more about that.
Yeah, so it's a really concerning. I became an advocate for literacy when I started developing the game because, I noticed the educational value in the game. In the beginning, it was just kind of a party game and I was focused on that. But then when I realized how powerful it was as an educational tool, and then I really started digging into, that research of literacy rates among our children in our community, I discovered some really uncomfortable information. And being a mom, and I have lots of nieces and nephews, and, just being a product of firsthand, hitting rock bottom in my life and knowing that the only way I was able to change was through the power of, education. You know what I mean? So we can all turn our lives around, but we have to educate and empower ourselves. And, like Malcolm X said, education is the passport to the future, period, for anybody's future. And so literacy rates right now, 88% of Black children read in 8th grade, read at a 3rd grade level. This is real. You can look it up. These are the latest statistics. And, COVID has definitely, largened that gap because with students not being in the classroom, being at home and, really getting further and further away from, literacy focused activities, it's just going to increase the gap. And so, I'm just really on a mission to inspire our culture to make reading cool again, because as technology, gets bigger and bigger and takes over, we are just really, really falling way below the literacy rates. And it's really alarming. And of course, literacy has a direct correlation with the prison pipeline, and mental health issues. I mean, it has a direct correlation with so many things that, don't make us successful people. And, we just really, really have to keep reading culture alive in our households.
Very true. I remember growing up and there being so many books around and having to read. Like that was a thing. Before we could play, we had to read, we had to do our homework and write as well, right? I remember my dad jotting down, I can't remember the formal name of it, right? But you know how you trace the letters?
Yes,
yes. Do that by hand. And I was like, every time I saw him pulling out pieces of paper and jotting those dots, I was like, oh, here we go, right? Or having to read, I was like, here we go. But as you mentioned, there are people who prey on those who cannot read. And, even from a systemic level, there are systems in place to ensure that those who aren't achieving or hitting certain benchmarks are being funneled through that pipeline to prison. As you mentioned, it is so real. And I loved how you said we have to make reading cool again. Right. I don't understand when people be so fly and can't read. And I know there are so many different factors that play a role, right? Access is a real thing, whether or not your parents or your guardians know how to read, right? But we have to make it a daily practice if we want to, go as far as we possibly can, right? Tell us why And I think you hinted to it a little bit, right? You do have to be a lyrical genius in order to hold your own, especially in a freestyle battle. Because if you don't know some words, you about to sound foolish, right? You're going to sound crazy like, okay, cat in the hat in the bat. Like, wait, what? But like, are those really the only words you know? You need to read more, Slim, right? Tell us more about why, marrying the two was like the perfect formula. And I'm actually about to go grab my game. So talk to us.
Yeah, sure. So it was so important to merge the two because, hip hop is the number one music genre on the planet. And, it has been for the past 5 years. I think we were the number one culture way before that. But, they just started giving us the title about 5 years ago. And, what better way to, promote reading culture and literacy than through, a music culture that brings us all together and is the most powerful in the world. All these kids, they want to be rappers, those are their idols, those are their influencers. And so, it's important to use a powerful platform like music and like the hip hop culture to, promote greater good, which is, we need to read again. Right. It's important that, what does the future look like when our kids cannot read? Those are things we got to think about. And, there's a lot of focus around STEM and STEAM, but, the foundation to all education is the ability to read and literacy. I mean, you can't do any of those other things without knowing how to read,
Right.
And so just the benefits from reading, reading makes you a better lyricist. Reading makes you a better communicator, a better orator, a better, writer. I mean, your ability to create, it, evokes creativity in your mind. I want to shout out Sister Soldier's new book, Coldest Winter Ever, just came out too. And, in all honesty, I wasn't always, big on reading, but Sister Soldier's book was The Coldest Winter Ever was the first book I ever read, every single word from page to page, from cover to cover. And there's plenty of books out there like that where you start reading this book and it's better than watching a movie. You see your vision comes to life and you can see what you're reading, so it definitely evokes creativity in the mind and expands your mind. And there's just so many benefits to it. And, I always say reading is to the mind what exercise is to the body. So it's something that has to be done. Otherwise you create mental atrophy, right? So it's important.
Absolutely. What I hear you saying is it has to resonate, right? I remember so many people picking up that book, The Coldest Winter Ever. And I was like, people was at the library, on a bus, in the school library, trying to sneak to read that book. I was like, what is in this book, right? But whatever it is, it has to resonate with us in order to be engaged. And as the original people who lead and shift culture in this country, it is important for us to have something that is applicable to us. Like, we know if our kids are bored, they not really, they're not engaged, right? So you created something that's very engaging, right? The rules are very clear. You are educating. You are bringing people together in a hilarious way, right? So it's fun, but it's also challenging. I'm over here enunciating because that is the first word on this card, right? And it helps you to be more confident, right? And think on your toes. I love this game, right? Word, cap, rap, clap, flap, yap, clap, map, nap, snap, trap. Okay, come on, trap. Yeah. Okay. Like, all these things. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was playing this game on Thanksgiving and I thought I was winning. Let me tell you, I had so many mic drop moments. I was throwing the mic. I was being real disrespectful because I was not winning. But I was like, you know what, Lydia? Whose fault is that? Okay. Get your life. Right? what has it been like getting others behind you to support this movement? I've seen you on the Breakfast Club. You were featured in Black Enterprise and just so many other, different platforms. But you've had some heavy hitters play this game and get pissed because they weren't as well versed as, they thought they were, but they also love what you've created.
So that part has been interesting, right? That part has been interesting. I have, had the privilege of playing with some hip hop artists. I'm still waiting to do it with some more, but I had a really fun experience with Redman, right? And we were playing the game. I was showing him how it's playing. We had an all-out argument. I don't think he likes me too much, but he was telling me, he was trying to tell me, words that rhymed. I forget the card we pulled, but, I asked him to give me spit 16 on that, give me 16 of rhyming bars. And he was off, he's way off. And he argued with me that these words rhyme, but there's a difference between forced rhyme, perfect rhyme, vernacular. All these things come into play when you're talking about, proper English. And I've even had some, debates with educators who are, in the field we've had great debates about vernacular. Because, if you're down south and words are, pronounced differently than how we use them up north, then, you get into some issues and debates around proper English. But all in all, what the game does is, tap into all those cognitive skills, engage our children, engage your mind. It taps into your memory, your focus, your speed, your fluid intelligence, and it makes you think. And so, when I play with adults who are, you're a college grad and I went to college, and I played with, some of the smartest of smart people, and you pull an easy card and it's like, damn, I forgot all these regular sight words.
Let me tell you, I have not opened the advanced packs. I refuse to open these. I'm not doing that to myself, not publicly at least.
Oh my goodness.
So we still on the red, okay? There are 3 levels and I have only dared to open the first pack. Says a lot about me, but I'm getting my life.
Right. So, I think that we've had a lot of success with the product because of the versatility of the game, how you can use it. It's an adult party game. It's for kids in the family. But then a lot of educators are using it in their classroom, especially now during COVID. I've had lots of teachers, DM me and say, what a great product. It's keeping my kids engaged on these Zooms. When I need to get them focused and bring them back in, I pull out a card and say, spit some bars, and, they have to really think and rhyme and, learn. And, the great thing about it too is, my research shows that you retain 2 to 3 new words when you play it. And so that's what we're trying to do here. You know what I mean? We're trying to increase your vocabulary index and get your brain activated.
I love that. Come on now. My research. There's an app. There's the game that's on these shelves, and then there's the research. That's incredible, right? That's next level. So many of us have these great ideas, but we don't have the time or the bandwidth to produce at this magnitude. Now, there's nothing wrong with that because everybody is not called, right? But it's not easy, right? Let's talk about fundraising. Let's talk about getting the money you need to create something like this and what that is like. I want to say even mentally, right? Having to have these conversations and convince people, persuade them, pitch, all of that good jazz. Like, you've clearly been doing it, but I want to know how you've been able to do it well, even when it doesn't feel good, because you're doing with business with people who may not have the same vision as you.
Yeah, so that's been definitely the most challenging part to this journey, right? Is like that unwavering belief in yourself, when people might not understand, the product, understand the culture, understand the space of, games and how viable they are. And being a Black, founder in the game space has definitely been a challenge, because there weren't any of us when I was attending Toy Fair and, trying to pitch the product. I mean, literally, I would see maybe 2 or 3 other people at the Toy Fair that were Black, and they were mostly buyers. So there's definitely been a surgence of Black game inventors recently, I've seen. But, when it comes to educating people and pitching investors on the space, that's been very difficult. I've been lucky enough to win 4 pitch competitions where I won grant money to. So I've been pretty much kind of bootstrapped my business and self-funded up into 2019, where I was able to raise my first round of, investment capital from some angel investors. Yeah, it was great. And so Charlemagne the God was actually one of those angel investors. And, he understood the space immediately. He wasn't a tough sell, but, some of my other partners who aren't educated in the space, I really had to sell them on the numbers, and then, most investors will tell you they're investing in the entrepreneur. You know what I mean? So your confidence, my confidence in pitching and confidence in knowing my space and, having a very unique product is definitely what, sold them and was able to close the deal. But I've, in the last year during COVID, and this has definitely been my most challenging year. I got into Target, and then I knew when that happened that I would have to raise some real capital to grow the business. And, pitching during COVID has been just like a real grueling process. I've been told no several times after pitching. And, that's kind of a lot of entrepreneur stories. It's like you got to pitch 100, maybe 200 times before you get a yes, but you just got to keep going. So that is really, really difficult, to be told no so many times, and then to have the strength and the motivation and positive energy to keep going. When you might, like right now, I currently feel like I'm in quicksand. You know what I mean? Like I gotta survive. And, it's like, I need capital to survive. So what do I do in the meantime? I gotta be creative. And so entrepreneurs thrive off, their ability to create opportunities where you might not see one. You know what I mean? We literally have to pull opportunities out of the air. So I'm launching a crowdfunder. Actually, I launch tomorrow, and it'll be a full month. So when your community hears this, please support our crowdfunding. I'm going to be using Fund Black Founders. And that is actually a crowdfunding platform created by a really dope Black female entrepreneur. Her name is Renee King, and she created this platform just specifically for Black founders because, as research shows, Black founders, and then especially Black women, we are so underfunded compared to, our white counterparts. And so she created this space for us to be able to, raise money and thrive. And it's just so amazing. I love the work that she's doing because she's worked with me personally, one-on-one, to help my campaign. And she does that with every entrepreneur who, onboards to her platform. And, she just really, really cares about, the power of Black business.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And I appreciate you shouting her out, right? So people can know her name and know the work that she's doing. So much love to Renee. You talked about the quicksand. I feel like the quicksand is often where those get my life moments happen, right? And sometimes we feel like we're being pulled down quicker than we can get up. Like, can we even get up? But there's still a way to make your way through, even in that sand. I'd love for you to share more about what that quicksand is. Like, what is it that you're surrounded by right now that you're working your way through? And how are you taking care of yourself in the midst of what feels like falling?
You going deep on me, being my therapist for the week, Miss Blanco. It's all good. Yeah, so the quicksand feels like, this is 10 years of my life that I've put into this. And I feel like, I always have had that mentality, like failure's not an option, failure's not an option, failure's not an option. But, after 10 years, that burnout period and feeling is really real. You know what I mean? It's really real. And to have the ability to muster up all the positive energy you possibly can and get back to that space of like loving what you do. You know what I mean? When I have conversations like this, you know how you said, like, you could feel me when I'm talking about it? Yes, that part makes me happy. You know what I mean? So conversations like this are very helpful. They keep me on track. The fact that you even want to talk to me and let me share my story, it gives me a spark of, motivation again to like, remember what you love. Remember why you're here. I'm here for those babies. I'm here for the culture. I'm here for my community. I'm here for others to be an example. But the quicksand feels like, oh my God, I cannot fail. Like, am I going to fail? It's a lot of emotion. It's a lot of mental health management, depression, just to be completely real. Like, if I fail, what will I do? You know what I mean? All these thoughts that go through your head. And it's just like, no, I can't fail. That's not an option. You know what I mean? That's kind of, right. But the back and forth, like, what would I do if I failed? And I can't fail. And I'm, it's just a lot, and it's hard because, I talk to a lot of people, and I've spent 10 years bootstrapping this business, put every dollar I have into it, all my sweat equity, everything. And it's been like a 10-year fight. That's the thing why I feel like I'm in quicksand, because I still feel like I'm fighting. You know what I mean? And I would love to just have space to breathe and be relaxed and comfortable and not, feel like I am fighting some battle. Yeah.
I really do appreciate you sharing that and being transparent, right? I also have taken note of you really putting yourself out there more. I saw that you launched your 30-day series yesterday on Instagram, where you are really checking in with yourself and others. A lot of people talk about burnout, and then there are those who wait until they get to a really pivotal point in their business or a height in their business where they feel more comfortable sharing about, what they've been through or their how-through stories in general, right? Now, I understand that you're not sharing this to, say, woe is me, but real is me. Like, I appreciate you normalizing that, because there are so many people who aren't talking about those moments that feel like fog or defeat or, as you've shared, a fight. How are you taking care of yourself? And how have you made yourself available to be taken care of during this time?
That's a good question. Well, to be totally honest, I haven't, in the past 2 weeks, I have been in a real mental slump. I haven't been taking care of myself. I haven't been, and it's not good. And, I decided to go to Florida next week just to be at peace and kind of go to the water and kind of cleanse myself and do, this kind of like a cleansing and my own little baptism in the water, because I'm really connected to the universe and water. And so water is really a great meditation space for me. And so I just want to go sit on the beach for 3 days and kind of clear my mind. And we all have to do that. It's not just, what entrepreneurs have to do in this crazy world we live in where there's so much noise, there's so much noise.
Right.
And it's hard for me to be able to disconnect from the phone and the social media, but it's really, really important to do that. Even if it's just 24 hours, where you do not pick up that phone. And
tell me about it.
Yes, you just got to disconnect completely. Because man, you start scrolling and then you on the phone. I'll be on the phone. I'm like, damn, I can't believe I just stayed on this phone for 30 minutes straight scrolling. Listen to everybody's noise. It gets overwhelming and it's too much. And you have to understand it really is programming you and conditioning you. And you got to be able to detach from it. From the noise, all the noise. So that's what I'm doing to take care of myself, financially, I just said I have to go to Florida and do this for me. And that is very important.
See, what it sounds like is, even though you said I haven't been taking care of myself, you know what is required to take care of yourself. And that level of self-awareness is essential to our overall well-being. At times, we don't know what it is that we need to do, and we have those moments of pause, and that's what we need. But it's also important to be self-aware so that when you do have the capacity to come back and meet yourself, you're like, okay, like, this is what we need to do. And you said, look, I know I need to be by the water, and that's what you're doing. So my hat is off to you, because you're taking the time that you need. And those moments of pause are so significant. Sometimes we don't have to be okay. Like, give yourself 2 weeks. I have literally been taking it easy as of lately. I'm like, oh my gosh, I know what it's like to wake up at this time, do this, pack my lunch, be down my 6 floors, run to the train station, deal with everybody and their mama on MTA, get to somewhere I don't want to be, do X, Y, and Z, talk to this person, check my email, be on the phone. I'm like, ooh, Lydia, you don't have to operate like that right now. And to your point, the burnout is real. 10 years in, you owe it to yourself to take that break, right? You really do.
Thank you for that. And conversations like this are very therapeutic, and just in reflection and doing some deep dive, thinking about,
Yeah, life. Look.
Get in my life, Lydia.
We are always getting our lives. And there's nothing wrong with that. I remember wrestling with the name for this show years ago, and I'm like, oh, I hope that doesn't sound negative, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm getting my life all the time, and there's nothing negative to be associated with that, right? What I really want to know is how you are able to hold your own in your space. You are a beautiful woman. Anyone who scrolls through your social media will see you. The thirst traps are real, y'all. Just as a heads up, she's like rubbing her forehead like she don't know she bad. Oh, all right. And, I can only imagine the ways in which you may be able, and I say this all with all due respect, but in ways you're able to, or you might be able to benefit from pretty privilege, and other times when you have to check that at the door, right? Mm-hmm. Because people think that they get to engage with you a certain way because of how you show up. Can we talk about that?
Absolutely. And that's a really good one. Um, yeah. So, you know, pretty privilege is something I have definitely been blessed to be able to take advantage of. I think we all have privilege. You know, there's intellect privilege, there's Black privilege, white privilege, family status privilege, all of that. It exists. And but being a woman, right? Being a woman in the, entertainment space, and then, in the toy and game space that is dominated by men. The VC space when pitching, finance space is all dominated by men. So you have to know how to use it, right? And I don't even say that I go into situations necessarily knowing, I gotta use it this way or that way. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that being beautiful is just like a physical thing, and it's really your personality and the respect for yourself and your character that's really going to shine through at the end. There's a bunch of beautiful people in the world. You know what I mean? And so I'm always just really myself. But I can admit there have been times when, like, I know that I got somebody's attention that I wanted because I look a certain way. But then I've gotten bad attention, for looking a certain way. We spoke before this about, the sexual harassment and the Me Too movement. And, I've definitely been a victim of, of sexual harassment within this journey. In the entertainment industry, specifically in the hip hop industry, just people using their clout and who they know and knowing what I need and what my needs are, and, using their power or their ability to connect me with somebody as, like, leverage to kind of control a situation and manipulate. And you just got to be able to, like, realize that stuff pretty quickly, like what's going on here, and show up respecting yourself and show up as a powerful businesswoman. You know what I mean? It's business first. It's business always. It's all in how you, conduct yourself and how you represent yourself. So I'm actually going through something right now, but I can't really talk about it. But yeah, I've been sexually harassed, and sometimes you get what you're not even asking for, or what you're men can be ridiculous. Anyway, I hope I've said enough. But
no, definitely. And you don't have to, tarry on. The reason why I ask is because in this digital age, super social during the pandemic, and just how we are taught, we believe, and how some of us choose to show up. Like you said, sometimes you get what you don't deserve, right? And you never know whose office you're walking into, what meeting you're logging into, or whatever, because people just show up and they showing out, they acting a fool, right? And I've had moments where I'm like, okay, did that just happen? Like, wait a second, because I'd be wrong if I swung right. Okay, cool. But I think it's important to have these conversations, especially as a solopreneur, right? You're showing up into these spaces by yourself. You don't have security, right? But it's important for your aesthetic to be on point as you're doing business. And a lot of people aren't having that conversation, right? For me, and I say this with all due respect, it goes beyond the Me Too movement. These are our real life experiences, right? And we know how that was co-opted by women who don't necessarily look like us, right? Tarana Burke was out here doing work. And I feel like it is an important conversation to have at this level as well, right? Because I think a lot of people are leaning on the stories that come up from the high release press releases, and then, oh yeah, I remember, and there was an instance, right? But to hear someone like you say, like, look, it's not okay, and I've been there. It's important. All of that to say that it's important for us to have that conversation on this level. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah, no problem. We got to keep our heads up.
We definitely do. You've given us a lot. What I want to ask you for next, though, is advice for inventors and creators who have a great idea but just don't know where to start.
Well, I get a lot of DMs from inventors and game creators. And I'm just going to keep it real right now. I get irritated with some of the questions they ask me because a lot of things are Google searchable, right?
Uh-oh. FGI.
I mean, listen.
Effing Google it.
You can get a Ivy League education from this thing right here called the internet. Okay. You just gotta want it. You just gotta click in the right search words and you will find the information and I know that because that's how I was able to do this. I do not have a degree. Yes, I went to college for, a few years. However, you have the access to all the information you need. There's plenty of examples of self-made millionaires and billionaires and successful people who did not go to college. You just got to want to do the work. You know what I mean? And a lot of people want to avoid doing the work. And so, yeah, it's not just one Google search. It's two. You got to dig and you got to read and you got to read a little more.
That is two, though. Precise. It's not just one, it's two, right?
Yeah.
Girl, YouTube University, all of that, right? So and I hear you loud and clearly because it's almost like you can't give out enough instructions or information in this age in order for some people to really grasp it. But aside from YouTube University and the Google conglomerate, what advice do you have for them to just get started, right? And I also ask this because I am seeing a lot of games come up, but a lot of them do not seek to educate. They are purely entertainment. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but we do need something for ourselves, right? That sets us apart, and that's important. That's what you're doing. So let's give the people what they want.
Yeah. So I would say, doing the due diligence on the product that you want to bring to the marketplace, like the real feasibility research, you know what I mean? Because like you said, there's a lot of games coming out. And to be honest, they all kind of mimic each other. And that was really what inspired me to create my game in the first place. We as a family, as a Black family, we were tired of playing Taboo and Catchphrase and Uno for 30, 50 years. You know what I'm saying? And we love those games. Those are classic games. However, something new and truly unique. And so a lot of the games you see come out now, they're called subjective games, right? They're just based on like your thinking and your opinion of something. So it's like a card game, like Cards Against Humanity, or just a game that kind of asks a general question and people answer it, right? And there's more power to them. God bless them and your ability to create something, bring it to the marketplace. But if it's not different, if it's not truly different and unique, you might have a hard time, being successful with it. And so I was really, really focused on the unique methodology of my game. I didn't want it. I'm just a person like that, period. I don't want to ever look like anybody else. I don't want to be doing what anybody else is doing, dressing how anybody else. I don't follow trends. I do my own thing. And so you have to really do a really good feasibility analysis on, is what I'm creating, is there some type of competitive edge? At least one, you know what I mean? Focus on at least one competitive edge with your business, because otherwise it's going to be hard to break through in a major way.
what's your thought on this ideology that's out there that it's okay to do what someone else is doing as long as you do it better?
Yeah, I don't really subscribe to that because, like I just said, I don't ever want to, do what anyone else is doing. However, when you say the last part, as long as you're doing it better, that's really what inventions are. Inventions are different kind of iterations, maybe of, like there was the mop. You ever see that movie Joy? There was the mop, but she perfected the mop by creating the mop that, the sponge that, squeezed itself. So she perfected it. That's a competitive edge. That's why she was able to take over the market. You know what I mean? And have a very powerful product brought into the marketplace. So you can do something and be doing it better as long as you have a real, true, unique competitive edge. And then you're really you're separating yourself from that person who's doing what you're doing because you're doing your thing that way. And then you got to, of course, protect it and whatever. But, focus on being unique. I would say that. Focus on being unique, being different. It takes a little thought and creativity, but there's still, I believe, millions of inventions that have not been created yet.
I agree.
There's always a way. You just got to think. You got to be creative. It'll be an idea that just comes from, you was around the house. And it's like, why am I doing it this way? There's an easier way to do this. Or, you know what I mean? That's what inventions are, a better way or an easier way to be doing something we already do. That's what inventions are.
I appreciate that. And, I really wanted to ask because there is a lot of copycatting going on. And access is a real thing and people have more of it, right? So I'm tired of seeing the same stuff all the time. I was just hoping that you would say, like, be unique like you did, or like, stop trying to do everything other people are trying to do, right? I'm like, say it, please say it, because I don't want to say it because I'm not the inventor, right? But being unique is good. Like, a lot of people don't value that. What is it? Unique value proposition, right? That is a real thing. And that's what you have, right? So I'm just so grateful for your game, for everything that you share, for everything that you are setting out to do, your level of transparency and vulnerability. And you have an incredible story. Like, I know we didn't get into the thick of everything, and I love just seeing the evolution, right? And I know we haven't been connected for millions of years, but it has been a pleasure to watch, the what am I trying to say? The evolution, yeah, right? The growth, all of that. Like, yes.
Thank you, Lydia.
You're welcome. You are so welcome. Look, okay, so
thank you for being such a dope soul and for doing all that you do, and Black journalism. You're amazing, and I appreciate this platform.
Thank you. I received that. Come on now. Well, look, we've gotten to the part on tour where it's time for you to drop the mic. Now, let me take the little mic out your box, okay? Because I love this thing. I love how it is designed. I'm going to just hand you this mic real quick. Hey. And when you're ready, it is time to drop it.
Okay. So I want to leave listeners with this. In anything that we do, ego is the enemy. Okay? That is a powerful book. And out of all the books I've read, I really suggest you read that one. I believe it's by Ryan Holiday. Yes, it's by Ryan Holiday. Ego is the enemy, right? A lot of people don't even know what an ego is, child. So the ego is the part of you, they say you have your soul, and then the ego is kind of this external personality that all the things you've experienced have come together to create this personality. But we are not our ego. Ego, a lot of times controls us. It manipulates us into not being the amazing, dynamic human being that we can be. Ego is responsible for hate, judgment, envy, low self-esteem, all the bad things. And I know, when I started this journey, I did a lot of self-development work, and I learned about the ego very early on. And I believe it's the only reason why I've been able to be successful is because I often have to check my ego. I don't allow to be led by my ego. And, ego is the enemy. So read that book, learn about your ego, check it constantly, and you will be able to become all that you want to be. Drop the mic.
And there you have it. Oh, that's good. That is good. I'm not supposed to say anything after the mic drop moment, but I'm so glad that you shared that. I once heard a pastor define ego as edging God out. And I was like, that's interesting. And like you said, I don't think a lot of us know what ego is. So I appreciate that. I'm taking that with me, okay?
Okay.
Look, I'm sure people are curious about how they can stay in contact with you, follow your journey, pick up this game. Let them know how they can do all three of those things.
Yeah, for sure. So please follow me on Instagram. It's Little Miss Calloway. It's LIL_MISSCALLOWAY. And then I'm Rhyme Antics on all social media, Facebook, Twitter. You can also find me on LinkedIn if you want to connect in a professional capacity. I'm always open to sharing advice and being helpful any way that I can, just because, a lot of people help me along the way. And so it's my duty to do so for others. So hit me up on LinkedIn, Chantel Calloway, and it's ChantelCalloway. Please pick up Rhyme Antics in your local Target or Walmart. And as I mentioned, I'm launching a crowdfunder tomorrow with Fun Black Founders, and you will be able to see the link in all my social media bios. And I just ask that you please support this Black-owned business so that we can sustain our success.
I know that's right. And how long will the crowdfund round last?
It's going to be a 30-day campaign. So we kick off tomorrow, the 25th to April 25th.
Perfect. Okay. Look, you have all the information you need to support, stay connected. So please do so. And as always, be sure to visit the Get My Life tour for more information, to subscribe to the newsletter, and to listen to the podcast available on 11 different platforms, including Pandora. Boop, 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 boop. So excited about that. Be sure to stay connected on social platforms at the Get My Life tour, with the exception of Twitter because it was too long. So it is at Get My Life tour. And if you'd like to stay connected with what I have going on journalistically as an independent storyteller, your favorite rapper, and all that good jazz, be sure to connect with me on social at Lydia T. Blanco, or visit my site, lydiatblanco.com. Look, I'm good. Like, I'm good after this conversation. And I hope that you are too. You killed it. You did. You did. Yes, come on with the thumbs up. Like, it has been real. I cannot wait to see you right back here on tour. Until then, peace.